Hi everyone, it's Cal. Today I wanted to talk about kind of the big darkness of which you came from to become the lightness that you are today in the world. And for those of everybody, welcome back. And for those of you that don't know me, I talk about everything Kundalini, and I just want to point out the Kundalini isn't pretty. It's hard, bloody work, and you got to be brave. It's tough, hard work, and you have to want to die. Having said that, let's get into it. When I finished doing the Kundalini, I had left my Fortune 500 job and gone out to the Mexican desert to meditate for a year, which I did. And after I had all these experiences, oh, and by the way, I had looked up my highest point of outer worldliness, so should we say, on an astrocartography chart before I went there. I wanted to make sure I could use the earth power and where I radiate at the highest peak. So it wasn't just some, oh, I'm going to go to Mexico and meditate. It was mapped out prior, and you could do this too. So because you're solar energy in an earth body, so to speak, in that earth body is that great intelligence that I talk about, the goddess. You want to be using the force as much as you can. So really plotting out where you can focus your mind the most and also get the biggest push from the earth was very helpful. So after I came back, after I did the Kundalini and other things, I got right into that world, really didn't want to come back, really wanted to go live in the mountains and just continue with this and give everything up and live in a cave. But I didn't, because I had a couple of reasons that I had to return. To be a responsible parent is one of them. And as when I came back, I was staying in the spare room at my father's house, and I was leaving my body routinely because I had injured my back through my thinking, without getting into that. And I was leaving my body for relief. And during one of these episodes, I was shown my brothers and sisters, which are your brothers and sisters, which you come from, which is the great blackness of being. And this sort of blackness of being is this kind of thick, cloudy smoke out in the cosmos, but it's intelligence. And so as my spirit was out of the body, all of this black consciousness came running to me and sort of almost feeding off me no matter where I moved. More and more was coming. It's kind of like, you know, almost being a celebrity and this blackness is the groupies, you know, kind of. And I was kicking them away and they wouldn't stop, but and the intelligence that came forth said this is your brothers and sisters, this is your heritage, this is where you come from. And so this is where we come from. This blackness, we're being given through the solar cycle more consciousness of being, greater consciousness of being, more power, more conductivity, and that's what we're doing here. You know, I mean, this is the one main thing that we're coming here for, but there's a lot of reasons we're coming here too, okay? And it is a birth and death cycle until you do the Kundalini, and then you don't go through the cycle anymore. It stops, okay? So, we actually are related to star excrement, that's star poo. Energy comes in stars and they release this sort of carbon staff without getting into the technicalities of it. And within it are fragments of stars, and also broken star fragments out in the universe from exploding stars, etc., dying stars. And all of this sort of matter is held together because the consciousness carries on. Everything is evolving. The sun is evolving. The moon is evolving. Everything is evolving. And there is a very particular cycle to the way it is evolving in a very particular fashion that is on repeat, from everything teeny weeny to everything super grand. And that is the sacred circle, because it all operates in a circle. Within the cube of the universe, within the omega, is the alpha. And the alpha, the circle, is made up from a variety of alignments. That's what this is. This triangle is a certain set of alignments. And these alignments are on repeat, and they form a cycle. A circle, which is a cycle. It's actually a spiral, but the coordinates are the same of the circle and the spiral. Mathematical coordinates are the same. So, you're birthed through the cycle, and when you do the Kundalini, you root. The cube is actually, it's so fascinating because the universe is a cube, and the root chakra is a cube, and from that cube, from that blood red cube, I have no idea why it's blood red, but it is deep, deep, saturated blood red. Your body and mind are united. Then you get to keep this body rather than being born into it all the time. And it becomes your vehicle around the cosmos. So without getting into that, I really want to point out the cycle of the circle. So when you're doing the Kundalini, you root, you use that energy to link back to your creator, the sun. And this is where you were birthed from, into the cycle, through the body. And when you go through the Kundalini and you hit the crown chakra, you go back to your creator, and you are shown every life. Well, you see every life you have ever lived. The creator doesn't show it to you. You cannot sustain the magnitude of force that the ones before you, the sun is an amalgamation of us in the future, many, many together, forming the sun of light beings. And you cannot maintain that strength, which is love, deep, deep, compassionate love, and it's unbelievable. You cannot. So then what happens is you fall back and you spiral down the golden staircase, which is your light path, and you see all the lives you have lived before, because you are climbing a ladder every day. Every day you are climbing this golden ladder, whether you know it or not. And even through, and it's even through the birth and death cycle, it is recorded on this one path. It is your path. So the whole point of doing the Kundalini is to secure this body. That's what you want. And, the spirit within this body. That's what you want, to have greater force. And another thing I want to point out about this process is the third eye, but I think I'll do this on another video now that I think about this, because it's might be a little bit involved. But I really wanted to point out how far you've come. It's incredible. So, and it really changes your perspective, because, when you see these people on the street, or when you see these countries where these people are going through such traumatic stuff, it's the trauma that actually builds this ladder. The pain and trauma builds your ability to hold compassion, the force of compassionate love. And it's really hard to look at all this tragedy in life because we're actually surrounded by it. But when you have this sort of bigger view, it kind of helps you absorb it a little bit better. And of course, not judge and certainly have compassion for our fellow man, because everybody is on this light path, everybody. And sometimes people really want to amp it up, so they choose very pressing situations. And sometimes these pressing situations in life, they fall down, you know, but it's the getting up part and getting going and getting back in the game that is really building every part of your being, so that when you eventually do the Kundalini, you will have that depth of compassion in focused meditation, super depth, because the greater the depth of compassion, the higher you go. And I always say, you know, it was interesting listening to you two and the music group, and you hear in one lyric he says you have to kiss the ground to touch the sky, and that's kind of what it is. The deeper you fall, the higher you go, because you understand the depths of being in a sort of visceral way, you know. So never judge yourself and the path you're on. Correct yourself to the person you want to become, for sure, but never get down on yourself, because you have come so far, so far. Every person on the globe deserves a big fat medal. It is amazing to get to the point of being a human being. As I spiraled down that golden staircase and saw every life I'd ever lived, I went right back down to mineral form and then nothingness in the black void. And then, and then it's been a big crawl back up since then. So I really wanted to point out where you came from in the cosmos, this whole completely non-conscious but not conscious, alive but not really conscious. What do I call that? The smoke beingness in the universe. I wish I had better words to fully explain myself, but unfortunately there is no literature out there to read that has really the proper words for what I'm talking about. You know, and this brings to mind, I heard someone once said, the greatest things in life can't be talked about because there are no words for them, and you kind of come across as being an idiot, you know? The second best things in life you kind of can talk about, but it's a little bit confusing. People kind of get you, but not really. It's the third best things in life that we default to talk about, because that's the stuff that we've got the vocabulary for, and it's easy to communicate and people understand what we're talking about. So for me today, this is the great thing, the great journey that your soul is on. And this is one of those great things to talk about. So of course, I'm struggling for words as I go. Again, I just wanted to really reach out and let you know the cycle of the circle is everything. And on the webinar, we're not going to talk about this, we're going to talk about the circle itself and how it relates directly to you and how you can use it to create more power, better health, deeper focus, And we're going to talk about the Kundalini and all sorts of things. It's very involved. So if you haven't got on the webinar, get on the webinar. The webinar is not like this video. It's not just some free-flowing thing. It's actually fairly fast-paced and involved, and it is all mapped out. So get on the webinar if you haven't and learn more about how this whole system of the sacred circle relates to you and your body, and how you can use it to actually have a better life. I mean, that's what we all want, right? A better life. We want more power. And of course, we'll talk about the focus in Kundalini, how your body links everything. It's the full enchilada. So if you haven't got on the webinar, I encourage you to do that right now. Other than that, I hope you got something from this video, and I hope to see you next time. Everybody take care. Bye.